This is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur praying for residents in Shri Navadip Dham. And this is a prayer to Lord Nrsingadev, who Bhaktivinoda Thakur is asking for special mercy to remove the obstacles on the path to staying in the Dham. And he says by removing the obstacles and by the mercy of the devotees that he will be able to worship Radha Krishna in Shri Navadip Dham. So we'll look at the translations first. Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame, plus sheer cunning. Somebody please give me a verse from the Bhagavad Gita in which Krishna describes the existential situation of a living entity and the condition under which he or she has lust perpetually residing within the heart. Microphones, please. Go ahead. Kama Esha
Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahasamu Mahapatma.
You got it, keep going.
Buddha Vedi. It says it is the lust only, Arjuna, that is the sinful enemies of all living entities.
Okay, grab a key. Do you guys get shloka books too? And anything else you need? Maybe pull out some of the book stands also, if they're still here, for the book stands for those who are going to be using. Okay, go ahead.
So it's the
Hold the microphone closer, please.
Yes, sorry. So in the previous verse, Arjuna asked Krishna that why the living entities are, even though unwanted, it gets into doing the sinful activity. Then
Arjuna is asking why people are forced into sinful activities. It's a good question for us to understand.
So answer Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahasano Mahapapma Vidya Enam Iha Varinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transform into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world.
This verse gives some indication that there's a way in which, because of association with the modes of passion, that, why does it keep turning off? Ramananda, what's wrong? This keeps turning on and off. The video screen. Do you know what's causing it? Okay. We need unmotivated and uninterrupted. It's a serious problem, it's extremely serious. It was going on since last week. Please call the military or whatever you need. So this is an important philosophical point that Krishna is making here, and that is that there are inherent low qualities that a living entity picks up by association with Rajaguna. And this compels a person in this world to act in a certain way which further implicates him or her in the modes of material nature. Does everyone concur with the conclusion that I just drew? I need a verbal yes, just like when you're sitting in the exit row on an airline, they need a verbal yes that you're going to help in a case of an emergency. Okay, defend your position then, since you said yes. Give her the microphone. First of all, reiterate what I just said.
You were
What was my
talking about
conclusion?
how lust is the biggest obstacle present in the material world.
Just speak up a little more, please. Lust is the biggest obstacle? Yes.
Yeah, so you were saying how lust is the biggest obstacle for devotional service in this material world. And in this shloka, it talks about how it's born of contact with the material motive passion, and it later transforms into wrath.
Good. Thank you for giving that reiteration. So this is, if you'll go back to the bhajan, there's an important philosophical point which we could go further into in great detail. But he says, within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame, plus sheer cunning. What about this idea of duplicity? What does the word mean anyway? Yes, go ahead.
Duplicity means like showing 2 different sides to yourself.
Okay. Can you say more about it, please?
It's I'm not really sure.
It's good. I mean, where's the word come from? Shraddha, you're going to tell us.
I think it has to do something with cheating.
Okay. And what about the word do?
That's 2.
Yeah, do means 2, right? Navina? Navina knows all languages, just like Krishna.
So it comes.
They're too far away, though. Go back there and move everyone's chairs closer, because we're feeling separation from these devotees. Thank you. Please, go ahead.
So it's a noun which, duplicity is a noun which means deceitfulness or double dealing. And it comes from the late Middle English, also from the Old French duplicite, or late Latin duplicitas, from Latin duplic, which means twofold.
Okay. So somebody give me a verse from the Bhagavad Gita in which Krishna talks about the way in which, in material consciousness, we develop this sense of duplicity. Go ahead, Navina. You're very healthy. You run the mic back in case somebody doesn't have a mic. You watch out.
Bhayam dvitiya viniveshatasya isharipatasya viparyo smriti. Dvitiya, one sees things separate. One sees something as separate from the Lord.
Okay.
So there's 2. There's the Lord, and then there is my own stuff, or my own interest.
Okay, good.
And that's the duality, the false duality that's created under illusion.
And we brought that verse out last week too, didn't we? Say yes. So now give one from the Bhagavad Gita. She has it. Shamalingi, give us a verse from the Bhagavad Gita in which we talk about duplicity and where it comes from.
This is from the 3rd chapter, 6th verse, which I looked at.
Into the mic. Nice.
Yeah.
Remember the people online. We're actually doing this for them so they can listen at home.
Yeah.
So listen. Speak loudly.
Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste.
Verse number, please.
3.6 Bhagavad Gita. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mityachara sa uchyate. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
That is a brilliant verse to bring into this conversation. Please tell us the thought process that got you there.
I mean, the word, when you said, when we talked about double sides to person, so
Yes.
I just remembered that there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita with the pretender. So I was like, we just looked for that and we found that one.
Okay. Let's read the purport, because this is a form of duplicity that one might feel within oneself. This is a psychological condition that plagues a lot of devotees, that they know that what the standard is, but they can't follow it. And they may be restraining their senses also, but at the same time, they're thinking about it. So that's a difficult situation to be in, isn't it? Say yes. Of course, you probably wouldn't know, but anyway, I can volunteer. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Purport. There are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness, but make a show of meditation, while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers, but according to this verse, these are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order, but if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he can make gradual progress in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for the objects of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater, even though he sometimes speaks of philosophy. His knowledge has no value, because the effects of such a sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. This is a really important case for being sincere, which we talked about on Wednesday night. Someone asked about the definition of sincerity. And if we think about what's being said here, we can see that there's a way in which a person who admits his or her faults and acts according to the position he or she is in right now to advance in devotional service without making a pretense, that is, trying to pretend to be more than he or she is, will invoke the compassion of the Lord and can make an advancement. But if I act duplicitously and I pretend to be more than I am, then it doesn't help. Navina Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Yesterday on Haight Street, I met a man and he said he's a sculptor. So I asked him if he knows what the word sincere means. And he said no. And I told him in Latin it means without wax. Sincerus. So is an artist who doesn't cover the flaws with wax. So if you're sincere, you don't cover your flaws, but you show them. Even in the 12 steps, the first step is
12 steps of the Alcoholics Anonymous.
Of the recovery
yeah.
program. The first step is admitting and accepting that there are flaws in myself and that I have to rectify them. So that is the first step towards betterment.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that out. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, if one can't control, restrain the
Closer.
senses.
Remember, you're speaking for the devotees who are online. They need to hear what you're saying.
So, if one can't restrain the senses, because mind, last time also we talked in the last Bhagavatam class, we talked about mind is attached in the sense, mind is attached to sense enjoyment. Mind always thinks about sense enjoyment. So, means like that is also called a pretender, or, and so I'm asking if we are called a pretender. Okay, sorry. So
take your time, no problem. Yeah. I know you got a good question in there, and sometimes asking a good question takes a little while sometimes to formulate, but it's really powerful. So we'll be patient. You just take your time. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. So we restrain our senses, but mind is attached to sense enjoyment.
Correct.
So are we called pretenders or no? Am I called a pretender?
It kind of depends on whether it's natural that one's mind will be attracted to sense objects. The pretender is somebody who makes a pretense and says that I'm not attached to sense objects and pretends to go about a higher stage of practice or exhibiting a stage of devotional service that he or she's not on yet, and pretends that I don't have that. But the point is, it may be there, but if one admits it and acts accordingly to deal with the situation, then one can make advancement in devotional service. Let's look at Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, the verse that begins, Sve Sve Adhikarya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita. And someone else, meanwhile, see if you can do, anyway, that's fine. Sve Sve Adhikarya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita. Is that in the shloka book? 11:21. Everyone say 11:21:2. One more time. 11:21:2. Okay. Please repeat. Sve Sve Adhikarya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita Viparya Yastu Dosha Syad Upayoresha Nishchayaha. So before you look at the word for word, please, let's analyze the verse just for what we know so far of the Sanskrit and how it compares to other verses. What other verse do you know, for instance, in the Bhagavad Gita that starts with Sway Sway? Anybody who's in Chad should know this because it's a verse that we're chanting right now every day. That gives you a clue that it's between 41 and the end of the Gita. Shway Shway. Yes, he found it. Shamalangi's on a roll today. Okay, give her the microphone. So's our booth master today. Is reading our thoughts out here. Okay, go ahead.
So this is Bhagavad Gita 18:45. Sve sve karmani abhirataha samsiddhim labhate naraha.
Samsiddhim labhate naraha.
Swakarma nirataha siddhim.
Sakarma nirataha siddhim.
Yatha vindati tachrinu.
Yatha vindati tachrinu. Now take us through the word for word.
Sway sway.
Sway sway.
Each his own.
Each his own. So what does sway sway mean? Okay, good.
Karmani.
Karmani.
Work.
Work.
Abhirataha.
Abhirataha.
Following.
Following.
Samsiddhim.
Samsiddhim.
Perfection.
Perfection.
Labhate.
Labhate.
Achieves.
Achieves.
Naraha.
Naraha.
A man.
A man.
Swakarma.
Swakarma.
In his own duty.
In his own duty.
Nirataha.
Nirataha.
Engaged.
Engaged.
Siddhim.
Siddhim.
Perfection.
Perfection.
Yatha.
Yata.
As.
As.
Vindati.
Vindati.
Attains.
Attains.
Tat.
Tat.
That.
That.
Shrinu.
Shrinu.
Listen.
Listen.
By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done.
Okay, now go back to the Bhagavatam verse. Okay, now what does sway sway mean? Yeah, so it's talking about like somebody's personal domain. And then how about the word dikare? What does that mean? Why is there, what is the word dikari? Give him the mic.
Adhikar means like a right to do something.
But it just says dikare.
Like swadhikar.
Explain that.
Like,
why does it say dikare and you said adhikare?
I think in Sanskrit we split, right? The E meant like swanswat.
So how do you know there was an A there?
I think it's abstract, I think.
Yeah, because there's an apostrophe there. That means But by Sunday rules, it was removed so that it connects phonically. Sway sway dikari and sway sway adhikari.
Yeah,
but
so
we know the A's there, right?
Yeah.
So the word's adhikari, and what does that mean?
Adhikari means I have a duty or I have a right to do it. Like I have a power, authority to do something. Like
Okay, a power or right. So it's put the two together. Sway sway adhikari.
it means I think I have a right to do something or I have a duty to do something. Both ways.
Okay, scroll down. Let's look at the word for word, how it's been rendered. Okay, sway sway, in each his own adhikari position.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes it's a qualification. You have a certain position already, position qualification. So each is an own position. Sway sway adhikari.
Yeah.
Okay, back up again, please. And how about nishta? What does that mean? Who knows what nishta means? Mataji? She's smiling so she knows what it means. Go ahead, give it a shot.
Nishta means faith.
Yeah, can mean faith. What else does it mean? Steadiness, how do you know?
I just remember reading that in another shloka.
Okay, so what is the word nishta? What does it sound like in English? Stand. So it's cognate. Look up the word cognate. It's cognate in English. This word nishta. Nishta means a place where you can stand, a position that you're firm on, like you were saying, faith. Like in the Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have Shraddha Shabde, Vishwas Kare, Sudre Nadashoy, Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Bhakti. Sorry. I can't hear from the audience, sorry. Karma krita hoy, yeah.
Cognate.
This one turns off. So nishta means, first cognate, say what it means.
So cognate means having the same linguistic derivation as another from the same original word or root. Related or connected. Related to or descended from a common ancestor. And the origin is early 17th century from the Latin cognatus, from co, which means together with, and natus means born. So born together with. So same origin.
Okay, cognate. And you were going to say? Say.
A cognate is when there's one word in a language and it strongly sounds like the same another word from another language and they have the same definition.
And what about nishta? What's it cognate with?
Stand.
Yeah, stand. You stand over there. Nishta. So sway sway dikari ya nishta. So in this case, what does nishta mean? Scroll down. Nishta means steadiness, which means you have a place to, like if you say understanding, you understand something, means you have a way of taking in the knowledge that's been given to you. And so you have a steadiness, like 2 feet on the ground. You're standing on your own 2 feet, as they say in English sometimes. Okay, so now the next line. Saguna parikirtita. So guna means what? Yes. Piety, good. How did you know that? You saw it? Okay. Well, that's good. Saguna parikirtita. Sometimes we say guna, we think it means the modes of nature. But it also here it means a good quality. Parikirtita. Scroll down. Is declared to be. So let's look at the full first line. So it says, Sway sway dikari ya nishta. Please repeat. Saguna parikirtita. And so what does that mean? Whoever's speaking, give them the mic.
Like each person has their own position, I guess. Or
what about saguna parikirtita?
Like,
That means a good quality.
Good.
What's a good quality?
like
If what?
on.
If sway dikariya nishta, if you're fixed in your own adhikari, qualification, position, right? It means position in this case. So if you're standing in your own position, do you know what that means in the context of this verse?
Yes, it's
What?
like not trying to be someone you're not.
Yeah, good, excellent. So sway dikariya nishta saguna parikritira. Is that good or bad? If you're sincere and you just stand in your own position.
It's good.
How do you know, according to this verse?
Because like it's guna meaning
Because guna means?
piety.
Good, yeah. It means good.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good thing. It's a good quality. So sweshvedikari anishta saguna parita. If you stand in your own position, where you really are now, that's good. And now let's look at the word viparya yas. Who knows what that means? Yes? Opposite. So now the verse is going to tell us about what's the opposite. So viparyas to dosha means what? It's a South Indian food. Goes with idli. Now, here it means?
Opposite to guna.
Opposite to guna is a dosha. Dosh. It means very, very bad.
Not piety.
Not very good. Say not very good.
Not very good.
Better get it fixed. Better get it fixed.
Better get it fixed.
Okay. Viparya yas. The opposite, now it's saying the opposite is truth, so this is like a mathematical verse. Here's what's true and here's the opposite. So viparya yas to dosha syad. So syad means what? We heard about it last week because we said bhayam dvitiya binibeshata syad. And we said bhayam syad, what? Fear arises. So viparyas to dosha syad, a fault arises when you do the opposite. And what's the opposite? Upayoresha nishchaya. So if you act in the opposite way, that means if you try to act according to what you're not, what position you're not in, act outside your adhikari, then viparyas, the opposite arises, and it's a fault. And then upayor, both, esha, nishchaya. So nishchaya, again, as said, look down. This is a definite conclusion. Like we're fixed in this conclusion. This is the fixed conclusion that's always true of the two. Esha, these 2 points are always true. That if you act according to your adhikari, then it's a good quality. And if you act outside of it, it's a fault. Does that make you feel better? Okay. Now someone tell us how we got here to this verse. What got us here? Tell us the thought process. Okay, Shamalangi. You might as well just keep the mic over here. Keep going.
No, I think he asked the question, right?
Go ahead.
He asked that our mind always dwells on other objects other than devotional service. So are we called a pretender? We are trying to follow devotional service, but our mind is not always cooperating. So are we called a pretender? And then for the answer, you went to this verse.
And say more about it. And how does this verse answer the question?
This verse says that no, if you are, if you stay according to your own position, then that is good. That is piety, and the opposite is totally fault. It's not correct. So you should be not you should not be a pretender, basically.
So basically, then we're saying that you should just if you have a certain level of qualification, you should just stay in that forever.
No.
Is that what we're saying?
No, but we should not try to pose as something we are not, but we should, again, not stay...
Okay, start from where we are. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes this point in regard to this verse in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita. He says, it doesn't mean that you just stay in your position forever and claim, I'm disqualified. This is my position, I can't move from it. he says that you have to see the practice of bhakti as a ladder, and you have to walk up that ladder. And he says this verse means that you have to walk up the ladder deliberately and carefully. So once your foot is on one rung of the ladder, it's nishta, it's fixed there, then he said, move to the next level. And he said if you run up too fast, you don't even get any grip on each one of the rungs, then you'll slip and fall off. But he also says, if you put your foot on the low rung and then you don't move to the next rung when your foot is already steadily on that rung, said then your advancement will be distant. So you have to keep moving and analyze what am I qualified to do right now? And then you have to do it. It's not that you just claim that I'm always at this position and I'll never move. And there's some people that are always advanced and some people that are always unadvanced. So I can't move. That's not correct. Yes.
So Maharaj, can you also comment a little bit more on how we see all this in the context of sadhana bhakti?
Yes, let's go to the nectar of instruction. Somebody please bring me a copy. I will pay you for it if you get it here within 5 seconds. I'll pay you later. So, in the nectar of instruction, we find advice for advancing in the process of devotional service, and especially when we're discussing the chanting of the holy names, following the process. I'm sorry? I got it. It's text 5. And if you turn to, if you can find it there, it's page 53. I don't think you have pages there, but there's a verse here, starting at the paragraph that says, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. What did I just say? No. Raise your hand and then take the mic. Go ahead.
It says that if you chant the holy names without, avoiding all the 10 offenses, then chanting, when you say Krishna, that means you are actually in contact with Krishna.
Thank you. Then one who has reached such an understanding should be very much respected by neophyte devotees. One should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be a proper candidate for advancement in Krishna consciousness. That's very clear. So this is the essence of the practice of Krishna consciousness, to chant the holy names without offense. Now, he quotes a verse. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 2269, which number? Okay, if I was reading from Madhya 2269, whose instructions would I be reading at that point? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami, yeah. That's a section that everybody should know in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatana Goswami. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami, Jahar komal shraddha she kanishta jano, krame krame teho bhakta hoibe uttam. So what does krame krame mean? Does everyone agree? Krame krame? Say krame krame. So tell a verse from anywhere in the Shastra that describes krame krame or uses the word krame krame. but it doesn't count unless you say it in the microphone very deliberately so our friends online can hear, because that's who we're catering to.
Last one, like krame krame bhavet prema, just like which is the ultimate thing, you get it, the love of Godhead.
Where's that from?
It's from, I think, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion.
Okay. Can you look it up? Somebody else give another Krame verse. Yes.
Is from the Bhagavatam 3:25-25.
Go ahead.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hitkarna rasayana katha tajjosanat asvapavargavartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramasyati.
So where's the Krama verse there?
It's the last line.
Yes.
Anukramasyati.
Okay. Tell us.
So it says that maybe we can go to translation.
There it is.
Translation, Madhu.
He's got it. Go to the translation.
In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. So that thereafter, so he's saying that what is a kram or what is the sequence, and his attraction becomes fixed, then real devotion and devotional service begins. So it starts from association.
So this verse has the word anukramishati, which is a very important phrase. Everyone say anukramishati. So it's got the word anu, which means to follow, and krama. So you're following. What it's saying is one thing follows the next. And what is it that follows? The various stages of advancement in devotional service, and they follow the practice of devotion as mentioned in the verse, which is to hear and chant in the association of devotees. Then naturally one will advance krame krame. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Jahar Komal Shraddha. So Komal means tender. Just like if you grow a plant, when it first comes up out of the ground, it's tender. It's just a little tiny sprout. And it can be destroyed at any time. Some little animal can come and eat it. And so it's just at its beginning stages. And this is the metaphor that's used by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to describe the various stages of advancement in devotional service. It begins with Komal Shraddha. So what's Komal Shraddha? Let's ask Srivatsa. Komal Shraddha. Komal means again?
I wasn't listening. Mark.
Tender. And what does Shraddha mean?
Faith.
Faith. So the process of devotional service, as we discussed last week, has to do with the thickening of faith, right? Didn't we discuss last week? Where did we quote from to establish that? Sri Brahma Samhita. What does it say in Sri Brahma Samhita about faith? Yeah. Just keep the microphone by Shamalangi. We'll be all right.
I'm trying to remember the first word.
Just give her the first word, not the whole thing.
Yadrishi saddha siddhir bhavati tadrishi.
Yeah, what does that mean?
So, whenever we are sincere and we have faith in doing something, so there is siddhi, will have perfection.
Yeah. So it actually means that the definition of siddhi means the thickening of faith. The more the faith becomes strong in devotional service, the more we're making advancement. Yadrishi shraddha siddhir bhavati. As faith manifests, that to that degree, that's how we're making advancement in devotional service. So at this stage, Komal Shraddha means what? Say something. It doesn't count unless you use the mic. We're catering only to the people online.
Komal Shraddha means tender faith.
Yeah, tender faith. What does that mean? What's that metaphor?
It's like when a plant is just planted and it's like a small sprout.
So what's the idea of komal shraddha? Like, what are some of the ways in which it's discussed in the Shastra that a person's faith is komal or tender? Just think logically. You don't have to have an exact reference, but you can think logically. Srivatsa? He's rallying back there.
Like someone with very tender faith can be easily manipulated by other, like...
Yes, this is one of the definitions of komal shraddha. It means kanishta adhikari can be convinced by someone else. Someone will come along and say, hey, you're following the wrong process. You're doing it all wrong. You know, actually, God's impersonal. You didn't know that? And the person will be affected. Rupa Goswami said he'll be affected for some time, not permanently. But he will be knocked back because of the opinion of others. If someone presents a strong argument, his faith is so tender that he can be convinced otherwise. And he can be diverted from the path. What's another symptom of someone with komal shraddha? Let's ask Navina. Okay, yes, you want to say? And then we'll take Navina's definitive opinion.
They have fear.
They're what?
They fear things.
They fear things.
Yeah.
Can you defend that in any way?
So, because they don't have a strong faith, they have a lot of their fears or their insecurities play on them.
Okay. I was thinking you might have been referring to the verse we quoted last week and this week, which is Bhayam Dvitiya Binibesha Tasyat. When a person is affected by illusion, then fear arises.
Right.
Okay, Navina Prabhu, we'll talk a little bit more about.
So a weak faith means there's no philosophical understanding. It's just by sentiment. I've been caught up in something, either circumstantially or situationally, historically, and it kind of feels all right, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So there's no philosophical premise upon which that person has faith. It just feels right at the moment. And that's how most people go about their lives. And that's why they're easily manipulated by advertisement, marketing of different sorts. So if we don't want to be manipulated, we have to have a sound philosophical foundation to what we do. That's why we're here in class going into these verses and these words and these concepts and ideas so that we actually can avail ourselves of this philosophical substantiation so that we can base our life on substance and not just on emotions which are constantly changing.
Thank you. This is an important aspect of the various stages of advancement in devotional service and Shraddha. The Shraddha actually means faith in the Shastra. We understand that the Supreme is speaking to me in a very unique way through the Shastra, through Bhagavad Gita, through Srimad Bhagavatam, and I accept. And those who are fixed in the tenets of Shastra, what does tenet mean? Look it up. In the tenets of Shastra are known to be Madhyama Adhikaris, or middle devotees. This is one of the aspects of somebody who's advancing in devotional service, is their level of understanding of the Shastra. Or actually, the person who's in the lowest position, Kanishta Adhikari, doesn't know Shastra and also has very weak faith. The person in the middle position has strong faith but doesn't know Shastra. And the person in the topmost position, the Uttama Adhikari, has strong faith and also knows Shastra. This is one of the ways to differentiate the three levels of devotional service, of which there are also unlimited categories within each one of those three levels. Go ahead.
So tenet is a noun.
Spell it, please.
T-E-N-A-N-T.
Okay.
It is a noun, and it means a person who occupies land or property rented from a landlord, or it can mean a person holding real property by private ownership.
But I didn't say tenant, I said tenet. tenet. Spell it for her, please.
T-E-N-E-T.
No N.
T-E-N, tenet, like you mean the principle, right?
Yes.
T-E-N-E-T.
You sure it has an N? Okay. Go ahead.
Prabhu, I was thinking that when a person has this faith, very strong faith, and could be reading Shastras, but it's not the outside world that will influence. Sometimes the mind itself will propose different options and say, oh, you know what, this may not be the way, that may. So I understand that chanting is the most important, so that we'll be able to control that voracious mind because of the past conditionings. I was thinking, is there any specific quote or something that do mention that the mind will distract you even if you have a strong faith, and what should you do about it? Anything like that?
Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said the mind is very distracting and it's very difficult to control. And Krishna says you should practice and you should also use detachment. So that's there in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, because Arjuna says the mind's extremely disturbed. It's chanchalam, it's balavan, it's dhritam. It's determined, it's strong, and it's chanchal, always moving about. So what should I do? It seems impossible. And then Krishna says by proper practice and by detachment one can achieve. So here we have Jahar Komal Shraddha. So this means that if a person has this weak faith or very tender faith, then She Kanishta Adhikari, She Kanishta Jano, that person is known as a Kanishta or a beginning devotee, right? Krame means, so this is very optimistic because it means there's a step-by-step process. It doesn't matter if you're a Kanishta Adhikari. If you stay in that Adhikar and you take step-by-step measures to advance, then Teo Bhakta Hoibe Uttama, then what happens if you continue step-by-step? Then gradually you become an Uttama Adhikari. So it's not true that if you're a Kanishta, you're always a Kanishta, and somebody who's an Uttam, they're always an Uttam. No, the process means to advance. So how do you advance? By acting properly in the situation you're in now. So the translation is, one whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first-class devotee. Everyone begins his devotional life from the neophyte stage, but if one properly finishes chanting the prescribed number of rounds of Harinam, he is elevated what? Step by step to the highest platform. To which platform? Uttama Adhikari. The end. Yes.
Is your faith tested when you're in that stage
Is your faith tested when you're in that stage?
Yeah, like if you're meant to, because they say that you still have to go through your karmas, right? So in the sense that you still have to go through what you're meant to go through. So when you're in that stage from the first stage to Uttam Adhikari, is your faith tested? Do you go through tests to see that you survive?
Yes. And how... let me ask you this. You went through school. You're a highly educated person. Did you get tested going through school?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Why did they test you?
To make sure that you're ready for the next level.
Okay, so when you're in devotional service, Krishna tests you also. Okay. And it's not so much that you're tested by your past karmas. When you become a devotee, you're putting yourself under Krishna's care. You're saying, Krishna, I no longer want to be under the direction of Maya. I want to be under your direction. Does that mean there's no more tests?
No.
No. So what kind of tests are they if you're under the shelter of Krishna?
Maya.
They're Krishna's tests, not
right.
Maya. Okay. So there's a difference. And if you'll turn to 10.14.8, please, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll see the difference as presented by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Everyone okay so far? Yes. 3 people are okay. Otherwise we'll get you a drink or something. Okay, so this verse, translation. says, "My dear Lord, one who earnestly," I got to say this quick before it turns off, "one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim." Purport, listen carefully. Srila Sridhar Swami explains in his commentary that just as a legitimate son has to simply remain alive to gain an inheritance from his father, one who simply remains alive in Krishna consciousness, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of the personality of Godhead. In other words, he will be promoted to the kingdom of God. The word susamikshamana indicates that a devotee earnestly awaits the mercy of the Supreme Lord while suffering the painful effects of previous sinful activities. Srivatsa Prabhu, what does sumikshamana mean?
It means that one goes through the suffering of their past misdeeds or like their karma while waiting for the mercy of.
But they're very impatient, right? Are they impatient?
No.
What are they then?
Patient.
They're patient. Yeah, so they patiently wait for the Lord's mercy. That's an important point because the Shastra says that the Lord gives his mercy to those whom he chooses at the proper time, when we're ready. So we can't demand it any time. Look, Krishna, I've done so much for you. Why aren't I getting something? Now, but the devotee is very patient and waits for the Lord's mercy to come to him or her. So the word susamikshamana indicates that a devotee earnestly awaits the mercy of the Supreme Lord even while suffering the painful effects of previous sinful activities. So far, so good, Janaki? Okay, now listen to the rest. Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who fully surrenders unto him is no longer liable to suffer the reactions of his previous karma. So now we have a conundrum. Because on one side it's saying we're suffering the reactions of our sinful activities, but you surrendered, right? You say, Krishna, I surrender unto you. And therefore, Krishna is saying, okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, take away all your sinful reactions. So how does that work? How is it that on one side we're saying, or Krishna is saying, that I take away all your sinful reactions, and on the other side is saying he's getting sinful reactions, suffering from his past sinful activities? Here's the answer. However, because in his mind a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality, the Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful activities. The purpose of the entire creation of God is to rectify the living entity's tendency to enjoy without the Lord, and therefore the particular punishment given for a sinful activity is specifically designed to curtail this mentality that produced the activity. Although a devotee has surrendered to the Lord's devotional service until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, he may maintain a slight inclination to enjoy the false happiness of this world. The Lord therefore creates a particular situation to eradicate this remaining enjoying spirit. Can you give a summary of what we just said? The philosophical difference between ordinary karma and the kind of apparent sinful reactions that devotees receive.
So if you're a devotee and if you've surrendered to Krishna, then
a little closer.
You still go through your karmic activity, meaning you still you're still paying for you're still going through the reactions in the world, but because you surrendered to Krishna, you don't, Krishna protects you, and basically you only see the things that you have to learn from, in the sense that you basically, your karmic reaction is controlled in a way.
Yeah, that's good. And I like what you said, Krishna protects you. So he's protecting us from our own desire to enjoy the material world in a way. He's protecting us from ourself, from our own inclination to get more entangled in the material life, so that he may present situations to us. It may seem like karma. It's like, oh, why'd this thing happen to me? This must be bad karma. But actually it's Krishna giving us a situation in our lives to say, no, little jiva. Like when I'm in the garden sometimes, I see a little bug coming along and he's going in the wrong direction. I mean, according to me, because I have a higher perspective. You're about to walk into a flood or something like that. It's like, don't go there. And I'll start putting my hand, like, go the other way. Or a worm, he's heading for a desert. And I'm going like, you don't like deserts, worm. You can't live there. So I'll move him, back into the moist earth. And the worm might think like, why is this guy picking me up? And why am I being moved? Why am I being tortured like this? But actually, I have only good intentions. I love earthworms and these little bugs. They're going about their business in the garden, doing what Krishna told them to do. He gave them facility to do a certain kind of job, and they're just trying to do it. So from my perspective, I'm helping them. From their perspective, I'm some fearful monster who's trying to kill them. The other day I saw a spider on my desk, and I came in, I saw him, and I turned the corner, I looked at him, and he looked at me, and then he took off. It's like, I was like, I'm not going to hurt you. So, our vision of what's happening to us, when we surrender to Krishna, we should develop the understanding that this is being given to me as a special mercy by Krishna to help to rectify my desire to enjoy the material world in a very specific way. Because once we give that up, then we're no longer obligated to enact the base, react to the base impulses that we get because of our previous association with material nature. And that's a really nice situation to be in. We start seeing the world in a completely different way. Exactly. Okay, so where are we now? Go back to the Shringa's prayers. That's where we started. We were on the first line in the translation. So let's sing the song. Was your question answered, by the way? Okay. Within my sinful heart, the six enemies, headed by lust, perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame plus sheer cunning. At the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimha, I hope that he will mercifully purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Lord Krishna. Weeping, I will beg at the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimha for the benediction of worshipping Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, perfectly safe and free from all difficulties. When will this Lord Hari, whose terrible form strikes fear into fear itself, ever become pleased and show me his mercy? Even though Lord Nrsimha is terrifying toward the sinful souls, he offers great auspiciousness unto the devotees of Lord Krishna headed by Prahlad Maharaj. When will he be pleased to speak words of compassion unto me, a worthless fool, and thereby make me fearless? He will say, dear child, sit down freely and live happily here in Sri Gauranga Dham. May you nicely worship the divine couple, and may you develop loving attachment for their holy names. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles are cast far away. With a purified heart, just perform the worship of Radha and Krishna, for such worship overflows with sweet nectar. Saying this, will that Lord delightfully place his own divine lotus feet upon my head? I will experience sublime love for the divine couple Radha Krishna and undergo the ecstatic transformations called sattvika. Falling on the ground, I will roll about at the door of Sri Nrsimha's temple. E dushta hridaye kama Adiripuchaya Kutinati Pratishtasha Satya Sadara. Hridaya Shodhanaro Krishna Ravasana Nrsinga Charane Mora Eto Kamana. Kamana Kandiya Nishingha Pade Magiboka Kana Nirapade Navadvipe Jugalabhajana. Here it is. Bhaya Bhaya Pai Jara Darshane Shehari Prasanna Huibo Kabe More Doya Kare. Take the mic. One more time on that. She's going to sing it. Back. Bye, bye.
जार दर्शने से हरि प्रसन्न होइब कबे मोरे दया करी
Baya baya pai jar darshane shehari prasanna ibo kabe more daya kari yajyapi bishana murti Dushta Jiva Prati Praladade Krishna Bhakta Jani Bhadra Ati Murti Dushta Jiva Prati Kabe va prasanna hoye sakripa vachane nirbhaya karibe aye muda kinshane. muda kinchane swachande baisho he vatsa shi goranga dame jugalaba jana hao rati hao name Isho Mama Bhakta Kripa Bale Vigna Jabe Dura Shura Chite Bajo Radha Krishna Rasa Pura E boli kabe e mora mastaka upara suya shri charana harshe daribe ishvara E boli kabe mora Amani jugala preme satvika vikare dharaya lutibo ami shina shinga dware One. E dushta hridaye kama adirupuchaya kutinati pratistasha satya sadarai E dushta hridaye Hridaya Shudanaro Krishna Ravasana Nrishinga Charane Mora Eto Kamana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Premanande Haribo. Taking a 4-minute break. Please meet with somebody during this break and share with them the main realization that you've taken away from the first part of this discussion. Got it? And then you're going to relate back what that person told you. Okay, see you in 4 minutes. Okay. Did you hear anything nice from the devotees? Yes. Okay, good. I didn't give Mahabhavi Prabhu, who's visiting us from Norway. He's Mr. Norway. He's been there for many decades, overseeing the preaching activities in the friendly socialist country of Norway, which provides free health care for all their people. Am I incorrect? And so he's visiting us here. His good friend Navina Nirada Prabhu, and he comes regularly to stay with us at our Govardhan retreat during the Kartik time. So it's very nice, Mahabhavi Prabhu, to have you here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. So let's give him a proper welcome. Queen Kunti Devi said, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sarva. If you just appreciate devotees and you appreciate the devotional service, that's how you make advancement. So you can appreciate your way back to Godhead by finding devotees and then appreciating them. And when you do, the world of bhakti will open to you. And now we'll just take a few reflections that you got from one of your colleagues during the sharing session on the 4-minute break. Yes, Kauta Karnika.
Maharaj, I met Ashok Narang Prabhuji. So Prabhuji shared that although we all have different problems in our life, everyone, whether they be devotees or non-devotees, so Prabhu always appreciates how you have explained nicely that one has to be patient. If Krishna, we will go through the sufferings, although Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he takes away all the sufferings. But as you described that we might have the last vestiges of material desire. So Krishna has to give us customized karma in order to take away that last vestiges.
Wow, what a beautiful point. Thank you.
Maharaj, yeah, that Prabhuji.
So what does it look like in a specific instance when you're being challenged by some disturbance in your life and you decide to be patient? What does it look like in your mind and in your heart? Somebody tell me. Yes.
So you're talking about the time when we decide to surrender.
Yeah.
That time gets easier.
Something comes and you have a choice. You can freak out or you can you can be patient. What does it look like?
Initially, I was just freaking out because, I wasn't aware. That way, I am eternally grateful to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu because the way he came and gave these lectures, it opened our eyes to the Bhagavad Gita and it opened our eyes to our mind. We could always recognize that there were two voices in us talking, but I never realized who was who. Because one is louder than the other and we never know which one's talking. But Chaitanya Charan Prabhu helped to understand that it's your mind talking, not you, and you're able to recognize the difference. So when you're freaking out, nowadays I'm able to notice that my mind is freaking out.
I want specific instances.
I banged my car a few weeks ago. And then for me, my mind nature is to replay and replay and replay and replay ad infinitum till I can figure out it's not my fault. And I looked at it and I said, truthfully, it's not my fault. But if it is my fault, Krishna knows it and I will get what I deserve. And end of the day, either way, it's not in my control. So I'm going to stay calm.
Okay, so this is one of the ways we can analyze what it looks like to be patient. So first thing is you took a little time to process it. Then you said, there's nothing I can do about it. This is one of the tenets of, hey, did we get that word, by the way? Tenets? Well, how is it spelled and what is let's hear. Boy, I got you just in time. I keep using the word. We want to hear where it comes from.
Tenet is a noun, and it means a principle or belief. Especially
Spell it, please.
Tenet.
Okay.
a principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy. And the origin is from the late 16th century Latin, and literally it means he holds from the verb tenere.
It means what?
To hold, or he holds.
To hold, or he holds. Tenet. Tenet. Everyone say tenet.
Tenet.
There's tenant and tenant. A tenant means somebody who's holding an apartment or something. A tenet is a principle that we hold. So one of the tenets of patience is to understand that there are certain things I can't do anything about. And this is, we'll notice in the life of Prithu Maharaj when he's trying to perform his 100th horse sacrifice, and Indra ruins the whole thing out of envy. And then he becomes very angry and he wants to kill Indra. And the sages say, don't kill him, we'll kill him. And they're about to kill him, and then Brahma comes and says, oh, you can't kill Indra, he's the temple president. And then Brahma says that you have to understand that there are certain providential things that come that you don't have any control over. And when they do come, then be patient, because first of all, you can't do anything anyway. And second of all, if you get involved in it, then you'll enter more deeply within the depths of anxiety. So don't do that. And the other part you said was, besides, there's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing I can do about it. And if to me, my understanding is it wasn't my fault. But Krishna knows the truth. If it was my fault, I'll get what I deserve.
So you're kind of leaving it to Krishna. You know, what's done is done. Prabhupada used to use that phrase a lot. What's done is done. Now, Krishna will, I'll move forward diligently doing what I have to do about the situation, but you're patient. You just see that this is how the world is moving, and you don't become so distraught by it all, right?
The biggest challenge, Maharaj, is I mean, it's a great achievement to be able to get to this point for me personally, to be able to learn this. But the mind never stops. It's like this child that always needs your attention. Even though I say this and I'm able to understand the tenets of what you're saying, the mind constantly keeps coming back. It's like the kid asking for the lollipop. Please, Mataji, please.
That's true. And Krishna says, therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, we have to make a friend of our mind. And yoga is the training of the mind to be our friend. And when the mind is attentive to Krishna's instructions and starts to go on its own and make suggestions for devotional service, it then changes the direction we go in our life. In the beginning, actually, we were changing the direction because we're overriding the mind by our intelligence. It's the adult in the room and the mind is the child. But as the mind also becomes attracted, purified, and then attracted to Krishna, then the mind pulls us in that direction also and becomes our friend, because the mind becomes enlivened by devotional service. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata. The prasanna, the mind becomes happy with the activities of devotional service and wants to go there. So just as the mind now, in its impurified state, might want to go to places that are surcharged with Rajaguna, because my mind may be contaminated by traces of Rajaguna. And my neighbor, I think from the sound vibration that comes out of his yard, is in Rajaguna, and probably a lot of Tamaguna, because he likes to listen to the radio. And I recognize the vibration that he's attracted to, but I don't resonate with it at all. The songs, of course, you know, the songs that they're singing on the radio and things like that, they're not attractive to me at all. But he likes it, and he keeps it going, especially during certain times of the day. And I can recognize the mode of nature that's coming out of there. So when the mind changes by association with transcendental sound vibration with the devotees, then it becomes attracted naturally to a different kind of vibration. And it becomes our friend, because it only wants to hear certain kinds of sounds.
But Guru Maharaj, you come out and walk in the morning when you do your japa, and you like that space. And now someone's invaded your
No,
oral
not that.
space.
Only certain times of the day, thankfully. People don't wake up that early
Okay.
to turn on their radio.
But if that
it's only in the
happens-
afternoon at 3 o'clock for some
if
reason.
that
I think they run a
happens-
daycare over there or something.
If that happens, and this is your spiritual, like if you've taken a certain time of the day and you're using it, then we tend to get very attached to that because it helps us in our sadhana or in our service. When people come and invade that space, it requires a lot of, to stay calm first of all, and then to say, this is so necessary for me in my daily life. If I give this up, I'm going to be less of a person than I was the day before, and yet these are my obligations. How do I balance these two things? Like if I'm chanting and suddenly my kid wakes up or someone needs to go early. It's so frustrating because that time of the day is my only comfort.
Well, as a householder, you have to be flexible. And that's the nature of householder life, is that there'll be various kinds of obligations that'll come up unsought and randomly, perhaps. And that's one of the lessons to learn in householder life, is how to accommodate those random interruptions and keep going at the same time. It's not that as a grahasta, your house is going to be running like a brahmachari ashram, because the kids may not be on the same schedule as brahmacharis. And when you're in the grahasta ashram, be in the grahasta ashram and perfect it. That's what swe adhikarya nishta saguna parikirtita means. Okay, you're a grahasta, you have these obligations, you have these distractions. Learn how to do your devotional service despite those various distractions. And when you come out of that ashram, you'll be very strong, because you will have dealt with ways in which to stay steady even though it wasn't completely regulated practice. So if I could have a 12 chapter Bhagavad Gita. Then you'll find that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that a person who's not dependent, thank you, I got it. A person who's not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. Could you find that verse, please? You get credit for it anyway because you went there, even though you... A person who's not dependent on the ordinary course of activities is very dear to me. Means that there may be all kinds of disturbances, but somehow or other, you're not dependent on that. You're able to continue your practice of bhakti despite the fact that there's all kinds of disturbances. It's the last day of Kartik, you've maintained your vow all the way through, and then all of a sudden there's an emergency, and you have 12:16, and you have to change course, right? So, okay, you do what you have to do. You're not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. So, this is 16, you said? Okay. My devotee, 12:16, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Purport: money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day and rises early in the morning for devotional service. Thus he is naturally clean both inwardly and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life, and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. A devotee never takes part in the part of a particular party. Therefore he is carefree. He is never pained because he is free from all designations. He knows that his body is a designation, so if there are some bodily pains, he is free. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and a devotee does not take to such business if it does not benefit him by advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety, but he does not construct the big house for his personal relations. The spirit of this verse is that the devotee learns to be flexible and stick to the basic principle, the tenets of bhakti, which are most important. I was thinking about this way in which to be detached from the ordinary course of activities and the mind not becoming engaged in the dualities. And I have a practical experience of this. One day I sat on an Air India flight in India. I think I was flying from Delhi to somewhere. And when I get on Air India, you sit down and everyone has their newspaper, right? This is a typical scene. Early morning flight, everyone picks up their newspaper. What's the big newspaper in India? Hindustani Times. So everyone has their Hindustani Times out and they're looking. And you know, my eye always looks to see, okay, what's the news? So I look out and I see these various newspapers sticking up over there. I can catch various headlines, you know. And I go, I'm not at all interested in any of this because I have no idea who's who. It doesn't matter to me because I have no context whatsoever. You know, every article, even the sports things. I've never played cricket in my life. I'm sorry to disappoint anybody, but I don't even know what it is. And you know, I'll see the cricket scores and I go, I don't care. And I don't care who won. I don't care who lost. I don't care who won the election. I don't care, you know, who fell off a bridge, because it doesn't mean anything to me. And for a devotee who's really become focused, the Shraddha has become thickened and is looking at Krishna as the only value in life, he or she looks at the whole world like that. Yeah, it's there. I'll deal with it. And I can deal with it. If someone wants to talk to me about the news, I'll say, yes, very interesting, very good. I'm sorry for you that your team lost, but I don't care. So, so similarly, the whole wide world is like that for the devotee. The devotee is interested really in Bhagavatam culture. And then the rest of it becomes gray. It's grayed out. My world has become gray. The material world has become gray. It's just a different shades of pale. And not interesting, not relevant or important necessarily, different ways. Of course, in the name of Yukta Vairagya, Prabhupada would zero in on certain things and then preach from them. But it was in a dispassionate way. It wasn't like he had a personal interest in any of them. Okay, so one or two more realizations that you got shared with you. We had a 4-minute break, and during that 4-minute break, you extracted a realization from a colleague, and now we're reflecting it back, just to reorient you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. The one point that I heard from Gopal Prabhu was about the staying alive in Krishna consciousness, and the example that Prabhupada gives, that the son of a rich man, how he has to just stay alive to get all the wealth. So just by following the regulative principles, that, you know, one can go back to the kingdom of God was very inspiring.
Yeah, please go ahead.
It was very inspiring and very, giving a lot of reassurance. You know.
Good. So the staying alive is important because we'll be constantly attacked. When I studied business, they told us that as soon as you start a business, it will be assailed by others. There will be predatory marketers. Everyone will come for taxes on everything. There'll be a difficulty. And somehow or other in business, you have to stay alive. You have to learn how to overcome these various things. And similarly, when you declare yourself a devotee, a lot of people are going to attack you, starting with who? Whom? The government? Okay, it depends what country you're in, but the government could attack you. You know, there's certain countries, I won't mention any names right now because they may be listening, but there are certain countries that don't want you to practice a particular religion, and they actually will put you in jail if they find out, especially if you're teaching it to other people. Who else might attack you? Your friends. Some friends, they are, huh? What do your friends say to try to discourage you from practice of devotional service? Use the mic, we really want to hear this.
They'll say how socially awkward devotees are because of certain practices and certain food things that they avoid eating, and certain, like, for example, if they chant, they're like, okay, what are you chanting? It's just like weird.
Yeah, it's weird. The devotees who are on Radha Damodar used to oftentimes stay at campgrounds. at night. There are these places called KOA campgrounds. You pay for it overnight. They could drive their bus in there, hook it up to the electricity, and then they'd get off. Of course, devotees have a different schedule than most campers. Most campers sleep in till the sun comes up, but they would get up, of course, at like 3:30 a.m. And brahmacharis at that time, and even at this time, very enthusiastic, they'd get off with their bead bags and they'd walk around the campground, go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So somebody called the police, state troopers came into the campground, and they were very disturbed because they had a report that there were people walking around shaking herbs out of bags, some magical herbs they were shaking. Because they thought that's what they had in their bag. They were shaking herbs around the campground to put a mystical spell on everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So people who don't understand, they'll assail the philosophy or the practice or something like that. So it'll be attacked in different ways. So somehow or other, and you may be attacked internally also. Anushri.
They say like, you don't eat meat, you're missing out.
They say you don't eat meat, you're missing out. Yeah, it's a really good thing to miss out on. If you can miss one whole lifetime of eating meat, your heart will become peaceful and soft and non-violent just from that practice of not eating meat. Meat eaters have a very hard time not having very aggressive feelings towards others, because there's a violent cycle that goes in, and when you eat it, then it gets in you and it sticks. I always notice that when I go to like Vrindavan, and I notice that people don't eat meat there, so there's a kind of gentleness that people have. It's not just because of that, but it's a pervasive feeling one gets when you go to a place where there's the idea of ahimsa. You were going to say?
I was just thinking about the time that you mentioned that when you're traveling and you have to go through the security, you have a tough time explaining all the deities and the so-called dolls.
Yeah, I haven't had a super tough time. I mean, one time in Japan, they said, "What's that around your neck?" Because I used to carry my shalagrams around my neck. And I said, "Oh, it's my lucky stone." And then they said, "Okay, open it up." And so I started opening it up. And then more guards came around to see what the lucky stone looked like. And when I finally opened the last wrapper, and Shalagram was smiling at him, they looked at each other, and then the head guy goes, "Lucky stone, lucky stone." And in Kennedy Airport one time I was flying out, and they opened up my deity stuff, and then they wanted to know, well, what is it? And I said, it's a sacred rock from Govardhan. And they said, what's that? And I said, it's one of the passengers, he was also looking in, he goes, what made it sacred? And I said, because Krishna lifted it with his little finger, and they all went, oh, okay. They put the Govardhan Shila back in, and I went on. But anyway, Yanisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jarakati Samyami. What's night for most people is a time of awakening for devotees, and vice versa. So we'll take one more realization that was shared. Yes.
So we spoke with Adin Pro. He nicely summarized the whole class pretty much, though he joined a little late. But one point he mentioned that one should start from their own position, wherever they are. And then the elevation is like a ladder, and we should first make sure that we are firm on the first rung, wherever we are, and then take the steps. If we try to go up too fast, then we may slip down and fall back. So
very nice. That's an important point to remember. Be firmly situated in your practice, the one you have capability for now, and when you are, then you'll have the wherewithal to take the next step very firmly and keep moving up the ladder. And that time will come, because as we heard from the nectar of instruction, one whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first-class devotee. Everyone begins his devotional service from the neophyte stage, but if one properly finishes chanting the prescribed number of rounds of Harinam, he is elevated step by step to the highest platform, Uttama Adhikari. The Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in the Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on beads. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen, patita. According to his calculation, practically every one of us is fallen, but because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. Okay. Yes.
I have a quick question, Maharaj.
Yes.
It's like, do Grastas have any chance, or we have to come back as brahmacharis to get up from here?
The Grahastha ashram is very important. As I was saying before, the Grahasthas are faced with many challenges that others don't have the benefit of having. And when you live through any ashram, whatever it is, you go through, this is called Sway Sway Adhikari Yanishta. So if your adhikari is as a grahastha, and you stick to grahastha ashram, but you do it well, then you'll come out the other side qualified for all kinds of other advancement in devotional service. Our surroundings are not important, or the ashram's not important. But the way that we apply the basic principles of devotional service in every ashram is what's important. And there's a lesson to learn in every ashram. For instance, in the brahmachari ashram, one of the lessons to learn is to be a selfless servant. The brahmachari lives at the beck and call of the spiritual master and relishes that there's nothing else to do except for service all day long. And the brahmachari also will do work like going in, collecting alms, and then give it all to the guru. And then not consider any of this is mine. I get 10% cut. No. The brahmachari is not thinking like that. That's fully free in that ashram to consider that I don't own anything. And I'm completely under the control and at this beck and call of my master. And this is a very sweet position to relish and see that actually I'm happy in this situation. And in the Grahastha ashram, there are a lot of responsibilities to take up and then learn how to use all those in relationship with Krishna. And as one responsibly goes through that ashram, and also especially learns to communicate with others who live in close quarters. You may have family members that don't have the same level of communication that you do, or they're maybe on a different wavelength, or they may have challenges, and you help them, and you learn how to communicate. That's one thing that's very important. And once you do, and you're able to tolerate the aggravation that comes from familiarity. When you become familiar with a spouse, for instance, you may feel irritated because you have a sense of entitlement, or you just take it for granted and so forth. So in the Grahastha ashram, one can rise above that and actually see that these are the other souls that Krishna put me with, and I should be compassionate and help them, or I should take their help also. And so there's a sense of cooperation that one develops in that ashram. And then there's later situations in life where naturally the obligations to various family members will disintegrate by themselves. If you just wait long enough, things always fall apart. So you don't have to worry about it so much. People die, and then they're like, wow, they were here a minute ago, now they're gone, and you don't have the same obligation you did before. And the world just opens up. So it's a natural way in which, at a certain time of your life, if you've practiced well in the other ashrams, then you'll notice that I have a certain impetus and qualification to be more detached and work in the world. Yes. move about the world, I should say. Yes.
I have a question. So we have been talking about even as a devotee, there will be turbulences in the life, and Krishna is probably trying to rectify you or test you or whatever, and we should accept that. And also we should think that this is much lesser than what we actually deserve. But personally, I may accept, but I'm like very scared of these kind of punishments. Like I don't want them. And like when there's maybe a happy situation, I'm always scared that this is not the end because there will be something. So is that like right? Because like Kunti Devi, she's praying, may all these miseries come, but I am very scared of them personally. Like I don't want them.
Yeah, it takes practice to accept whatever comes and just deal with it as another test that Krishna is giving. And that is one of the practices that we should adopt, is to see whatever comes. First of all, you think of it logically that when apparent adversity comes, if you have a wider vision, you can understand adversity is not necessarily bad. Most of the breakthroughs that we have in our lives, or that any great person has in his or her life, comes when adversity strikes, apparent adversity. And to see the various changes that come up that apparently move against my plan and my idea of what comfort is, as Krishna's mercy is the spirit of that verse. You have to train your mind to see reality, which is, first of all, there is no secure position in the material world, that's for sure. So you can expect that it's going to change all the time. And Krishna expresses that in the verse, Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukadukada agama paino nityas tantitikshashva bharata. That he advises that learn to be tolerant even as the world's changing around you. So that's a practice. So you have to practice that. And then to see that the things that are coming, notice that they give me an opportunity to express my devotional service and to take deeper shelter of Krishna when they do come. So it is our fear that my situation of comfort in the material world, my sense of reality is going to be disturbed. But it will be, naturally. So it's better to be preemptive about it and just depend on Krishna and take shelter of him as these things are happening, and that takes practice. So in any ashram, that's the practice, to see change and adversity in the light of Krishna's mercy. Yes.
So Prabhu, this is related to Narsimha prayer that you sang at the beginning of the class. So this is a general question that I have is in Chaitanya Chandramrita, Prabodhananda Saraswati, he establishes how Gauranga Mahaprabhu is like sum total of all incarnations, and he even goes to say that what is the use of Narsingha? He came only for a few seconds. Like that, he says that Gauranga is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he can give anything we want, and he can give all protection. So why is it that our acharyas pray to different other incarnations, like Bhakti Vinod Thakur to Narsinghadev, and also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was worshipping Kurma deity, like that. So how do we take it?
But Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur's bhava comes out in that book, Chaitanya Chandamrita, when he says that all these other things are insignificant. This is called bhakti bias, because actually bhakti means bias. There's a certain kind of, in love, we become thoroughly attached to a certain feature of the Lord. And he's showing that bhava, or that emotion, for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all of his expressions. It doesn't at all contradict Bhaktivinoda Thakur's praying to Lord Nrsingadev. After all, what's he praying for to Lord Nrsingadev? That is that, please let me take deeper shelter of Lord Chaitanya's dham. and enter into the mood of that Dham and actually experience it. When the gopis are looking for Krishna in the forest, they're praying to everybody. Dear Champak, oh creepers in the forest, oh deer, they're praying to the deer and to all the animals, please show us where Krishna is. When Rukmini is praying for Krishna to come and steal her away, she doesn't want to be married to Shishupal at all. It's a totally gross idea for her. And it's like she's always settled her mind completely on Krishna, so she sends a note to him, and then she goes to the temple of Durga and she's praying intensely, please let Krishna be my husband. Same with the young unmarried gopi girls. They're praying to Durga also. Please let Krishna be my husband. Prabhupada comments, you can pray to anybody. Of course, Nrsingadev actually is a very special incarnation in, you'll notice that he appears throughout the Gaudiya pastimes, and that it's not that he's some Vaikuntha deity, somebody remote, but even Prahlad Maharaj, whose his mode of devotion is different in some sense from the mode of spontaneous devotion that the devotees in Vraj have. Still, it's interconnected because one has to have, he represents the actual standard of pure devotional service from which one can make advancement. Within the core of my heart, my only desire, let there be no material desire, so that I can worship you properly. So the point is that devotees will take help from everywhere, from anyone and everyone who can help them advance towards their goal of worshiping Krishna with no motivation whatsoever. But especially Lord Nrsingadev is prevalent in our pastimes. After all, Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells how he's one of the deities who reveals where Lord Gauranga is, where he actually appeared. Because early in the morning, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from his vantage point, from his house, could see a cloud of dust coming up and ending up now where the Yoga Pit is. And then he realized, it's Lord Nrsingadev coming from Mangalartik every day. So Lord Nrsingadev is revealing many things, and he appears throughout the pastime, the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it makes us want to go there to Nrsingsapali next year. We can sing the song and then be thinking about that and go to Nrsingsapali and sing that, and it's all within the realm of worshipping Mahaprabhu in the mood of Prabodhananda Saraswati.
Guru Maharaj, when you say the shloka Stavaram Jangama Deke Na Deke Tara Murti Sarvatra Hoya Nija Ishtadeva Spurti. When we say Nija Ishtadeva Spurti, would it be for us Nrsimhadev, or would it always be like if you have this situation where you're praying to somebody else or you have a different deity on your altar and you're offering the service, does that become our Nija Ishtadeva?
Well, if you look at the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, actually, he was worshipping Govinda. His deity is Krishna. It's just that in this very unusual pastime, Krishna appeared as Lord Nrsingadev to reciprocate in a very unusual circumstance. So he's praying to Govinda, actually. And Govinda appears as Naraharidev to show how fiercely he protects the devotion of the devotees, and that he's always there, inside and outside, watching over the devotees. Okay, last realization someone has that they got shared. Someone shared with you? Or from online? Yes?
So, Maharaj, should we pray to other demigods for advancement in Krishna consciousness, or it's best thing to pray to Krishna only for advancement in Krishna consciousness?
You can pray to other demigods for advancement in devotional service to Krishna if you wish. It's just illegal to pray to demigods independently and think that they're somehow separate from Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited various temples on his travels in South India. And the Brahma Samhita perfectly harmonizes all these things. Yet pada padalava yugam vinidaya kumbha dvanve pranama samayesa ganadi raja vignam bihantum alamasya jagatrayasya govindamadi purushanta maham bhajami. He's praying, saying, worshipping Ganesh. But he's saying, okay, please remove obstacles how is Ganesh getting his power? It was because he's holding Lord Nrsingadev's lotus feet on his head. So as you're realizing that whatever power comes through Ganesh, if you're worshipping him to remove obstacles on the path of devotion, then you should see it's coming from Krishna anyway. Anyway, it says in the Nectar Devotion that one should start the worship of Ganapati. You know that, right? So some devotees did start worshipping Ganapati during the time when Prabhupada was here. And actually, in particular, there were two sannyasis who were doing a lot of service at the time, collecting a lot of Lakshmi for the project in Mayapur. And so, of course, they weren't just exclusively worshipping Ganapati, but they had a deity, and they did some extra puja. And then other people, they were emulating that. And so the controversy came to Prabhupada. And he said, Prabhupada, somebody wrote and said, so such and such Swami is worshipping Ganesh, and so, can I do it too? And Prabhupada wrote back. He said, yes, you may. But you must also send minimum $100,000 a month, because that's what they were sending at the time. And he said, you must send at least a minimum $100,000 a month. He was joking, of course, but he was making an important point, is if you want to copy someone, then copy them all the way. Don't just do that part of it. And he was also kind of very tactfully informing them that it wasn't necessary. And he never instituted any such thing. So, akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One should have a full confidence that just by worshiping Krishna and taking shelter in all circumstances, everything else will be satisfied. Even if you do have some material desire, Krishna will help you sort it out. In any case, there's no harm if someone offers a prayer to a demigod, please let my faith in Krishna be increased, and so forth. Prabhupada says this is not illegal. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradis Daivatai. Next line. This verse says that if somebody sees a separation between Krishna and the demigods, this is known to be a pashandi, a person who is ill-informed, thinks they have to go somewhere else to get something. Time for one last point. Yes, a question from the internet.
This is Anuradha Sevani Devidasi. How do we remind ourselves to be in Krishna consciousness in the midst of material life?
You have to chant good rounds, because as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudyacha mayarpita mano bhutir mami vaishyasya samshayaha. He says, therefore, which is referring back to the last couple verses that say that you have to be fixed in remembering Krishna at the time of death. So that means, he says, you must practice during the lifetime. And that means that you may have other work that you have to do, so you have to continue chanting Hare Krishna, Prabhupada says, while you're doing your work. Which means that at least every day you should chant good rounds. And it also helps infinitely well if you maintain a standard practice of reading from the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Don't shop while you're hungry. Because if you shop while you're hungry, do you know what happens?
You buy all the wrong stuff.
Why does it say, has anybody done it?
Ew.
It's a big mistake. It is really true. It's one of those old adages, don't shop while you're hungry. It's really true. I've done it a couple times myself. And I've gone in and it's like, this is terrible. And you get home and you're a different person. It's like, why'd you buy all this stuff? So similarly, don't go out in the world before you feel a little fulfillment in your heart. And so we have to go out and do a job. We have to interact with people here, there, and everywhere. So before you do, make sure that you satisfy your sense of spiritual hunger first. Otherwise, you'll see the whole world as a place, well, it'll be distorted and you'll do the wrong things. So be really fixed. And it's no joke, because when we leave this world, we have to draw upon every instance in which we've made the right decision to keep fixed on the path of devotional service. That will develop into a kind of strength that we have, and a taste that we have, and an inclination that we have. And that all comes to bear when we're making the final transition from this body. You get a human body after millions and millions of births in the material world. And if you miss the opportunity, you could take a hiatus for millions more births. It's possible. So don't take the risk, but stay fixed in devotional service by at least having a steady practice every day in chanting good rounds, and also hearing from the Shastra. And this will help fortify you. And now we have the great pleasure of performing a first grain ceremony. I don't see any babies around here, so I'm not sure. The baby's coming. He called on his cell phone. So baby's coming in, and once the baby gets here, we're going to chant the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita together. In the 15th chapter, anyway, I'll save that for when we sit down and do the grain ceremony. So we came here today, we heard from the Shastra, and we had a roundtable discussion. Navina Nirada Prabhu, in the last 2 minutes, could you give us what did we get out of today? What did you get out of today, if anything? What would you recommend for the future? What would you like to see more of or hear less of?
Hare Krishna. I'm very grateful for being here and having the darshan of Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan, who is wearing exquisitely beautiful dresses and garlands and face paints, in the association of devotees, hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita about this process of devotional service that is really fortifying my own conviction that my daily practice is really all I've got. That's what I have, that's what I will have, that's what Krishna has given me. And if I stick with that, I can attain perfection in this moment or in however many lifetimes it may take. So I'm grateful for being reminded of that and hearing all the precious realizations from the devotees as they're churning this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this ocean of nectar of devotional service, from their own perspectives, revealing their own difficulties and successes and aspirations in bhakti, most of which I can share, and they resonate very well with me. And hearing from my favorite teachers and Shiksha gurus about how to apply myself to Krishna consciousness in a resolute, in a single-minded and a determined fashion. It is something that I look forward to applying every day of my life, starting from today. So thank you for being here and giving us this opportunity.
Like an essay that could earn you another degree, I think. Thank you very much. Yuga Kishore, can you come here just for a second? You just come here for a minute. So the perfection of the eyes is to see a devotee, and I just want you to have a look. This is a devotee. Hare Krishna. This is Yuga Kishore Prabhu, and if we did anything right, it's because of the kata. Somehow or other we attracted him to come in. Whenever he hears kata anywhere in the world that's attractive to him, somehow he just appears. So please welcome Yuga Kishore Prabhu to ISV. Yuga, a little more. Thank you. And now we're going to turn our attention to the deities, and we're going to perform a first grain ceremony. But the baby texted in and said, okay. Then we have one more bhajan as we're waiting for the baby to come. Oh my God. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janadandana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janadandana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janadandana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janarandana. Jamuna Tira Vana Chari. Jamuna Tira Vana Chari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Haribo. 10th canto, please. First volume. So we have a few minutes, if you'll all bear with me. Everyone okay? Yes. All right. We're here anyway, right? So, in the 10th canto we find, thank you, the pastimes of Krishna. And when Krishna appears, of course, he's transferred to Gokula. And there's a lot of disturbances in Gokula, Vrindavan. This was predicted by Vasudeva. As Vasudeva met Nanda Maharaj in Mathura, both of them had gone there for some business. And when he was there, Nanda met with Vasudeva. They were very close. And Vasudeva was a Kshatriya. And Kshatriyas have a commonsensical way of looking at the world and understanding what's going to happen next. And so he told Nanda, who was a Vaishya, and more simple type of person, that there would be trouble in Gokula. He could expect trouble. So when Nanda came back from Mathura to Gokula, he saw something unusual, and that was there were big bonfires, really big bonfires going on. There was a smell in the air. Yesterday was a little street fire along the freeway, and it smelled like burning rubber. But this smell was different. It smelled like aguru. Aguru is a heavenly scent. And the burning was of hunks of Putana's body. She had come while he was away and tried to kill Krishna. She disguised herself as a beautiful a nursemaid and was allowed entrance into the room where Krishna was sleeping. And she had picked up Krishna and put the nipple of her breast into his mouth with the intention of poisoning him. So Krishna knew what was going on, and he sucked out the poison, and then he sucked out the milk, then he sucked out her life air, and then she assumed her original form, which was gigantic. She toppled as she died. Krishna was on top of her breasts, which were like big hills by that time. And she fell very conveniently on the special orchards that had been and were coveted and kept very carefully by Kamsa. No one else or nothing else was touched in the Vraj, but those trees were smashed. And you'll find in the pastimes when Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill that nobody was harmed or touched in Gokula, even though Indra had poured torrents of rain down on Vrindavan with the idea of smashing and killing everybody. He was so angry out of his pride, having his pride thwarted by Krishna, who asked everyone to divert their attention and worship towards Govardhan Hill. So he then inquired, did Nanda, what happened? And everyone told him. And then he concluded that this Vasudeva must be clairvoyant, because he had said there were going to be trouble, and now here's trouble. So see what's happening. One thing after another happened there in Gokula. Of course, Putana, and then there was a cart, and during a festival that was celebrating Krishna's turning over for the first time, they were serving prasadam, having kirtan, and Yashoda put the baby in a safe place under this very sturdy cart. But it was actually a demon had taken shelter of that cart, the Shakatasura demon. And Krishna, knowing that, had kicked his little baby foot, and with his apparently tender foot, he had shattered the cart. The heavy pots and pans, all the utensils went flying, and the cart was dismembered and fell to the ground with a lurch. And everyone was, of course, alarmed because there's a little baby underneath the cart. And when they came over, they saw that he was perfectly fine. Yashoda picked him up, began to nurse him. And some of the boys had seen that, he had kicked and it knocked it over. Soon after that, Trinavarta, the whirlwind demon, had come and had picked up Krishna, taken him high in the sky. And of course, again, Krishna, with his powers, had grasped the neck of Trinavarta had suffocated him, and he had come crashing to the ground, did Trinavarta, with Krishna on top of him, and he was smashed, was Trinavarta, and Krishna was perfectly safe. But it scared everyone, and the devotees there were noticing all these things because they weren't aware that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They had heard from Garga Muni that he would be as powerful as Narayan. And many of them would conclude after these superhuman pastimes that actually, well, it makes sense because maybe he's just like Narayan. But they never thought he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Baby's here? Okay. He drove in. Is he waiting for us to call him in, or is baby going to come in on his own? Okay. Just now coming. So then we find that in the pastime of the twin Arjun trees, which were precipitated by the sons of Kuvera, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, who were intoxicated with their wealth, were cohorting with beautiful damsels. The baby has arrived. Hare Krishna. And so we'll suspend it, we'll leave us in suspense there at this point and talk more about Nala Kuvera and Manigriva. It's a very important pastime, and there are lessons to take away from it, and we'll take it up, Krishna willing, at a later time. But now we'll turn our attentions toward the deities, and we're going to perform a first grain ceremony.
Hare Krishna.
To invoke auspiciousness for Arjuna, who has appeared today. How old is he? 5 months, but he looks like such a mighty warrior already. At 5 months, he's a very powerful child who texted us while he was driving here to let us know. Thank you for coming, Arjuna. And thanks to the illustrious parents who have come here today for this special ceremony. So as Jiva Goswami prescribes, in any ceremony, we begin and end with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Avantika, please take us to the Goloka Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
And now, Radhima and Saurabh and Arjuna, we're going to chant the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita together. And then in this chapter, Krishna informs us that he's the fire of digestion. So we'll always remember, Arjuna, you and I, that whenever you eat anything, it's actually by Krishna's mercy that the food has been supplied, but also that he's digesting it. Okay? Let the record show he said okay in his own language. So here we go together chanting the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Purushottam Yoga. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Mulamadashakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Saveda Vid Adashchordvam Prashritastasya Shaka Guna Pravrida Vishaya Pravala Adascha Mulan Anusantatani Karmanubhantini Manusha Loke Narupamasye Hatato Palabhyate Nanto Nachadir Nacha Sampratishta Ashvatamenam Sivaruda Mulam Asanga Shastrena Dridhena Chitva Tatakpadam Tat Parimargitavyam Yasmin Gatana Nirvartanti Bhuya Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye Yatak Pravriti Prashrita Purani Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kama Dvandver Vimukta Sukha Dukha Samjer Gachantya Muda Paramavyayam Tad Natad Basayate Suryo Na Shashanko Na Pavakaha Yadgatva Na Nirvartante Tadama Paramamama Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Manakshastan Indriyani Prakriti-stani karshati Shariram yadavapnoti Yatshapyukramati shvaraha Grihit vaitani samyati Vayuragandhani vashayat Shotram chakshu sparshanam cha Rasanam granameva cha Hatishtaya manaschayam Vishayanupasevate Ukramantam stitam vapi Munjanam vagunanvitam Vimudhanana pashyanti Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha Yatanto yoginaschainam Pashyantyatman yavastitam Yatanto pyakritatmano Nainam pashyanta chetasaha Yadaditya gatam tejo Jagad bhasayate kilam Yachandramasi yachagno Tat tejo vitimamakam Gam avishya chaputani Darayam yahamojasa Pushnami chausadi sarva Somo Bhutva Rasatmakaha Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deyamashitaha Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyanam Chaturvidam Sarvasya Chaham Hridisannivishto Mataksmitir Gyanam Apohanam Cha Vedaisha sarver ahameva vedyo Vedanta krid veda vedeva chaham Dvavimau purushau loke Sharas chakshara eva cha Shara sarvani bhutani Kutasto shara uchete Utama purushastvanya Paramatmet yudharitaha Yo lokatrayam avishya Bhipartavyaya Ishvaraha Yasmat Sharamatitoham Aksharadapi Chotamaha Atosmi Loke Vedecha Patita Purushotamaha Yo Mameva Masambudho Janati Purushotamam Sasarva Vid Bhajati Mam Sarva Bhavena Bharata Iti Kuyatamam Shastram Idam Uktvam Mayanaka Etad Budva Buddhiman Syat Krita Kritasya Bharata Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambhade Purushottama Yogo Nama Panchadasho Dhyayaha Hari Om. So sweet rice has a very mystical quality about it. You'll notice throughout the Shastra and the Ramayana, Mahabharata, many different places, when there's a yajna to be performed and a benediction to be asked for, sweet rice is involved, because there's a way that it absorbs various mantras. So the mantras that we've chanted already today, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, led by Avantika, and all of us chanting the Bhagavad Gita, the all-auspicious treatise spoken directly by Krishna himself, have entered into this sweet rice. Now, Arjuna, when you take this sweet rice, which I'm going to give you in just a second, he's anticipating for a long time, you'll get all these mantras as well. So if you would be so kind, Saurabh, Prabhu, and Redima, and company, if you would move closer down here, if it's not too inconvenient. If you wouldn't mind, Arjuna, come right up here. Hare Krishna. Go ahead, as you wish.
Hare Krishna.
Actually,
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare.
Arjuna? No, I got him.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
It's good. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, let the record show that our great warrior, Arjuna, has taken great delight in honoring, he's confirming, take great delight in honoring this Maha sweet rice infused with mantras. And we make a prayer here today on your behalf, Arjuna, right here in front of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Srimad Mahaprabhu, and Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev, Srila Prabhupada, and the great acharyas, that may these mantras enter into your heart and instill in your heart pure devotion for Lord Krishna. May you always feel the desire to cooperate with the mission of Lord Krishna all over the world. May it be a pleasure to your parents and all your friends and everybody else in the world. May you always be healthy, wealthy, and kind to all living entities, and ultimately become a pure devotee and go back home, back to Godhead. Everyone who agrees with these ideas in part or in whole, please say Hare Krishna. Arjuna, I think you're well on your way. You've got the blessings of the Vaishnavas. And now, for you, we have a very scientific test where we'd like to see what your proclivities will be for the future so we can put you on a fast track. So if you would place him as close as possible to this, what we have before us are the Srimad Bhagavatam, a huge stack of cash and jewelry, and also a gigantic cleaver, apparently representing the Kshatriya order. A Parusharam, it's a Parshu. So put him in the middle so that we don't, this is needs to be a double-blind study with perfect circumstances. Here. Arjuna, now please choose what your future will be by pointing to any one of these. Indicate either by grabbing them or with your head. What is that?
That's his future.
Okay. Oh, I see. You're going to need to, yeah, because he's 5 months. He's very mighty, but he needs a little bit of help getting closer. Arjuna, pick.
Right.
Pick what you like. Let's see. He's getting close. He's picked the cash. And yes, he's picked up $100 bill. And now he's going for more. Oh, very definitively. Okay, and watch out for the cleaver. He's also taken hold of the knife. So I predict that he'll start a devotee restaurant that will earn millions of dollars. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I hereby declare this first grain ceremony for Arjuna, our mighty prince and warrior, to be a complete success. Everyone who also agrees, please say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripasinabhevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. And now what? There's actually prasadam? Sharirat vijaja jadendriya taheka jive pele Vishaya Shagare Dharma Jeji Bhayati Loba Moy Sudhurmati Take Jeta Katita Shanshare Krishna Vora Doyamoy Kori Bare Jihwa Jai Shah Prashad Anna Dilo Bahai Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Guna Gao Preme Rako Shri Chaitanya Nithai. Preme Rako Shri Chaitanya Nithai. Mahaprasade Govinde Nam Brahmari Vaishnave Salpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Navijay Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Haniraso Pajayate Prasanate Taso Yashu Vudipaya Vatishtate Prayopa Bhukta Shadgandha Darchitaha Uchishta Bojino Tasya Vamayam Jaimahi. Mahaprasada ki Gaur Premanande Nitai Gauda Haribo 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 Nitai Gauda Haribo. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna.